me into my zone. Please don't let me into my zone. 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 Please don't let me.
Well, welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave and wish you a happy start to your nice little Saturday morning. If you're over here in the Eastern Hemisphere like myself, sipping on a cup of coffee, actually maybe 3 for myself, or if you're coming back from a very late night, dancing on all sorts of tables, having all sorts of funs, something which I know nothing about, especially as of recent times, in the Western Hemisphere over there, coming in for an early morning. Well, I want to wish you well and want to welcome you back into the cave. A lot to talk about today. Holy shit, man. We have the monthly closing. We got the weekly closing for CMEs and the monthly as well. So that means that we have a lot of things to talk about on the longer term analyses. I'll probably save a little bit of that for tomorrow, as Sunday is for the long term, but it's hard not to acknowledge some of it today because, well, the monthly is always a big happening and does lead on to a lot of what is expected to come in this month of February, although expectations a very terrible word to have in a trader's arsenal, but you get what I'm saying here. Anyways, before we get into the actual analysis, I want to say that today I will not be on Twitch. Actually, Elsa's going to be on Twitch today, so feel free to join on in. I'll certainly be around and probably be trading a little bit anyway, so I'll be there. And her Twitch handle, I believe, is like at Elsa69 or something like that. We'll post it in the Discord, of course. And on top of that, the Krown Trading Applications had another page added, some more updates coming, and of course more updates coming throughout the month of February as well. It's 100% free. Just check out app.crowntrading.net and take advantage of it because, well, that's what it's there for. It's like a massive thank you to community, you know. Anyways, a humongous project which like I said is going to be probably finished. We're aiming for around the end of this month, February. But for right now, you know, it's relatively basic, just a couple of pages there, but you'll notice that things will be added with each and every passing week. So yeah, anyways, with all of that said, I want to wish you the best and the happiest, and I'm hungry as fuck. So I want to wish you some munchies as well. And, let's get in a live scene running over here. As I press that button, initiates teleportation, and fucking goddamn it, I can't stop thinking about steaks and foods and all that good stuff. But anyways, here we go. Bitcoin on the daily. Do we want to look at the daily right now? Yeah, sure. Why not? We do have the golden cross confirmed on daily dollar time frame for good old Bitcoin right here on all major exchanges, on all major spot exchanges. Of course, we've already seen it happen on CMEs, and this is why once again I say that CMEs are the most important chart to be focusing on. It's just the easiest, most clever one to follow. And we got the golden cross on the daily confirming actually earlier this week on that last little leg up. So I do put more weight on that, and that's why I was saying that we're likely to head up a little bit higher here. Now we're seeing spot kind of fall through and confirm it as well. So why is that important? Well, golden cross between the 50 and the 200. Actually, I'm using the 55 right here if you're wondering why there's some sort of discrepancy between it. Has been a pretty damn good pivot for Bitcoin, or just, you know, overlaying into the major macro price action as far as the long term goes, taking off a few moving averages there so we can, you know, nail it down. But I'm referring to the green and the purple here, of which throughout Bitcoin's history has been pretty damn good for the long term moves. Anytime we've got a golden cross, boom, massive move to the upside. Anytime we've got a death cross, boom, massive move to the downside, both in 2018, more recently in 2019, and all throughout this bull run right over here, all throughout the bull run actually in the first half of 2019 as well, and 2014, 2015, no different, going all the way back to the Genesis. So having that happen in this region is very, 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 very nice. However, typically what I want to see is I actually want to see a pullback into the cross. Doesn't need to get exactly back into the cross, but I would be looking for Bitcoin to test one of the major moving averages on the next major pullback. Now that brings up the next question: are we looking I fucking hate it when someone says, are we doing this today? It's like, no, how about what are you doing? And then I'll tell you what I'm doing, and then we can come together. And that's when, you know, it's not like a leech. It's more like we share, and then we get better for it because we all have different perspectives. Anyways, fucking hell, I don't know why I got onto that rant. Anyways, my point is that looking at this price action right here, you know, I do think that there's going to be a pullback, probably in this next like couple of weeks of February, down to one of the major moving averages, likely somewhere between the 10 simple or the 200 simple moving average, but it doesn't mean that it has to happen today or tomorrow. And as time goes on, these guys will naturally crawl upwards and onwards to the point where I would imagine that they're going to get somewhere around like 9100-ish region when we actually have the pullback. Now, I'm getting way ahead of myself here. Let's actually go down to the lower time frames and speak about what is more actionable in this region right now. And it's very, very similar to what we looked at yesterday, right? Very similar to what we looked at yesterday. Blue boxes of peace and prosperity, once again, guiding your green dildos or red dildos, depending upon which side you're coming from. But just trading these boxes has been phenomenally profitable. And I want to actually spend a little bit of time on this one. So if you remember during yesterday's stream, or if you on the Twitch stream from, I believe it was Thursday, I missed this trade right on over here. I really wanted to buy this blue box. In fact, I had it much lower. I had it around 9,100 to 9,150 on that time. And I was looking to buy that and I missed it. And it was very embarrassing to happen on stream, just get caught in the system overload of BitMEX, something that I should have known better to just have a resting order during that piece of price action. But here's the thing is that after that, what's the solution? The solution isn't to like revenge trade and get back into it, as a lot of people were asking. A lot of people during the Twitch stream were asking, Krown, what are you going to do now? What do you do after you miss a big trade like that? Nothing. What I've learned in my experience, the best thing to do after missing your trade is to wait for the next good setup on your side. Don't fucking force the next one, because that's when you start, you had the right idea. Don't overcomplicate it by not playing out your own idea and then fucking up all the tools that are, using the statistics in your favor. I mean, that completely destroys your edge essentially. And so what do? I do nothing. I actually missed this trade right around here because I was sleeping during this time. But yesterday we get another test back down into the blue box territory, which got moved up because, we set in a base support right here, do the same sort of trade, and boom, major massive move. Well, not major massive move, but $200 move to the upside, $200 plus move to the upside. Very, very happy with that. Lock it in, and all's well and good, man. And that's all it is, just waiting for the next trade, not letting it bug you emotionally, and instead looking for the next sort of major opportunity, as that is what's going to keep you in the game as a trader. Let the retailers be emotional in the sense that they'll chase something like that and be caught up in the everlasting liquidious of Darth Maul dildos taking you both to the upside and the downside. Be a fucking trader, not a whatever the fuck child basically. But as it stands right now, the same sort of thing that we've been speaking about for the last couple of days, essentially playing out once again. As long as Bitcoin is closing especially 4-hour dildos, but even 2-hour dildos, I would say, are probably even relevant here, just because this is such a high level consolidation above this blue box territory right here at about 9250-ish region. I'm not bearish, and I look at this as a nice as a nice consolidation at a high level. And the more sideways that we go here, the better for the boo laws actually. Now, if this area does break, tying it back into our daily analysis, I would look for a move all the way back down to probably to about 9,000, maybe even 8,900-ish region, somewhere around this blue box territory, as as a very likely area, which is, by the way, right in line with the daily 200 moving average. So which is this white moving average right here. So I would kind of look for that next pullback to kind of test around the golden cross between the 200 simple and the 10 simple moving average. If and only if, or sorry, I shouldn't say if and only if, but if we actually break this area right here, that's essentially what I'd be looking for. And I would consider that the test of the daily golden cross. Very, very common to get a pull back into that region, and likely to set in a higher low there, still resuming the overall macro trend, which we'll get into in just a bit because we do have a new monthly. But my point is that as long as Bitcoin going sideways here, that's completely fine. The major moving average is going to have a chance to catch up, and with each and every passing day, they're going to be rising up quite rapidly, probably to the tune of $50 to $100 for the 10 simple and the 21 exponential moving average. So the longer that Bitcoin goes sideways here, the more and more that it has time to catch up, and that test can come up at a much higher level than where I'd be looking for if we actually broke this area right here. Now, of course, this is a little bit of a delicate situation, just because there are multiple areas for short-term bounces here. I think 90.50 is another area where we got this wick prior on 30th of January. But realistically, if Bitcoin does crack 92.50 and close below there, a 4-hour dildo is a little bit aggressive. 2 hours even more aggressive than that. Preferably, I'd really want to see like a 12-hour, but I do think that a 4-hour would get this one properly. As always, higher time frame is going to hold more weight. But if it does close below 92.50, then yes, I will look for a move back down here towards about 8,900. Same thing as yesterday. And for the upside, essentially the same thing as well. The upside is a little bit easier here. In fact, if Bitcoin even just ticks above the prior high on BitMexico, which is 95.79. 30th of January, middle of the day, by the way. If it just ticks above there, I would look for a continuation up to the next major region, which is a little bit more interesting actually, just because 98.50 is probably going to be a short-term pullback right here. But ultimately, I really don't see that as a major resistance. I see 10.1 to 10.3 as a next major resistance for Bitcoin's next leg to the upside. So, again, can do it both ways. If we saw a 4-hour delta close above 9,600, that'd probably be even better. But even just ticking above our prior high at 95.79, very, 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 very likely that we actually see the next leg of continuation to 98.50ish region. Until then, it's just a game of support and resistance. And over the weekend, I don't expect these areas to be broken. These areas being 92.50 or 90, basically 95.50 to 9600 to the upside right here. And in fact, we could even collapse this down just a little bit more based upon our last, what's called 4-hour dildo right here. In the more preliminary range, I would say is essentially between the 21 exponential moving average on the 4-hour and this horizontal right here, right around 94.25. So again, just collapsing a little bit more, but ultimately for the next multi-$100 move, perhaps even $1,000 move, I would be looking for something below this area or above this area right here. That's what's going to trigger it. Until then, sideways is just a game of support and resistance, and sideways here is bullishly biased, especially because all the momentum oscillators are actually going to have a chance to reset once again. Remember, coming into the last couple days, everything was pretty damn hot, even on the lower term time frames. But what are we seeing on the 4-hour right here? Well, we came all the way down to the neutral zone, rejected it, and crossing back up to the upside. Very, very, very beautiful. 3 hours going to be doing the exact same thing from the exact same area. 2 hours going to be doing the exact same thing from the exact same area, and the hourly is going to be coming down. So what does that tell us? That tells us that we probably trade sideways within this region, and we're going to test the upside a couple more times. We're going to test the downside a couple more times. But other than that, I don't really have any. We should actually raise this up. It's more like this on the short-term time range. It's more around 94.75 if you want to be super specific. But this is what I'd essentially be looking to do over the weekend, of which I actually played this range a little bit earlier. Just very, very simple stuff. Taking the scalps of what Bitcoin gives to you right now. Anyways, I'm sure a lot of people are talking about bearish divergence on all time frames essentially now. Again, this is why I say going level by level is the way to go. It's very reasonable to think that this bearish divergence right here on the 4-hour, which certainly was present. We had 3 drives, 1, 2, 3. In fact, we even spoke about how there likely would be 3 drives on it coming on this guy right here. That one's already played out, going all the way from 96 down to 92. It's a $400 move. That one's played out. I don't think that that's still relevant. If you're talking about the 12-hour bearish divergence, do we have it there? Yes, we did. But again, same sort of thing, 96 down to 92, or sorry, even a little bit, about 92. I think that it's mostly played out. We're very likely to get a third drive before we actually do have like a major pullback. I actually am bullish here still, especially as long as Bitcoin's not breaking 92.50 for another leg to the upside, and then probably a major pullback down to one of the major daily moving averages. At that point, who knows where they could be? Maybe they're somewhere around 9100, maybe 92, maybe 93, something like that. We'll come back to that at that time. But to me, it actually doesn't really look like Bitcoin wants to break to the downside here. And if it does, I mean, 92.50 is still the area to kind of take out. So my opinion, as always, does not matter. I'll play that game if that area gets violated, but for right now, completely fine. And to me, it's looking like everything's starting to shape up in the tune of Bitcoin, essentially, going a little bit of healthily sideways here, and then giving another try to the upside, probably coming in sometime early this coming week. Looking at 12-hour Stokes, yes, they are coming down, which have been phenomenally accurate in getting price action. So that would be certainly on the board for the bears right there. 10-hour as well, both getting price action very, very well. Other than that, do I see anything obvious here? Not so much. Yeah, not so much. I do think that we probably get 3 drives. And here's the thing, people are looking at the 12-hour or the 4-hour, for God's sakes, and judging like divergence plays on an RSI oscillator there, but not including the macro. And it's as always, it's a major reminder. Don't look for a fucking 4-hour to revert a daily trend. Don't look for a fucking 12-hour to revert a weekly trend. How many 12-hour dildos goes into a week? How many 4-hour dildos goes into a day? It's just not that relevant. You can't be expecting a reversal based off of like 2 fucking drives on, literally a fourth of the time frame. What the hell? What the fuck? Not always, of course, but you have to realize that we're, Bitcoin's trending here. Bitcoin's trending pretty damn heftily, and And so I'd give credence to that among, above anything else. And more importantly, we got the golden cross coming up as Bitcoin consolidates at a high level. I mean, that's typically a really good sign. We are going to see some, or are we going to build any divergence on the daily here? Did have a little bit, but I think that we've already gotten the pullback from that. If not, that will be the pullback down to 9,000-ish region and test the daily 10 simple. So, fair enough. But right now, daily RSI looks more or less healthy to me. The big thing with the daily RSI is that it's maintaining in the bullish control zone. And then on top of that, we're having a change of behavior coming in all the way back from fucking June. Look at the area that we've been rejected from, or Bitcoin's been rejected from ever since then. It's right at the edge of the bullish control zone. And what do you know? Bitcoin getting back above it right and over here as it kind of breaks out above all these major moving averages. I do believe that we've seen a major change of behavior, and that's likely to lead on to more action to the upside, especially as these guys cross over, and that's going to start to trigger a lot of bots and algorithms to initiate their buy programs. I'm not saying that it happens today, but look for that to happen, in the next week or two, assuming that we don't have a massive move down below the 200 simple. And I would say that as far as the medium term timeframes go now, and I could even say the macro in a sense, although it's a little bit more of a delicate conversation. I'm overall bullish as long as Bitcoin is above the 200 simple, which is at a little bit below 8,900 right now, and will be rising with each and every passing day. Not only that, but let's go check out the weekly, let's go over to CMEs. So remember, CMEs didn't just close for the monthly like we saw spot price action do, but we also get to see the weekly close as well. And there's a lot of really, really good things going on right around here. So looking at the weekly, we did not confirm new weekly highs. Bitcoin tested the prior weekly high on on an open basis. It did reject from it, but it's not really rejection. It's just coming down. I would look for perhaps a move down to test around this prior high at around 9,100. That's probably going to end up being the pullback down to the next major moving average sometime this coming week, and that's probably going to be a buy in my opinion. But here's the thing: we get to see the closure for CMEs, which very, 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 very likely heavily influences the closure for spot price action. It almost always does. And what do we see here? We see that CME's CME weekly RSI is looking strong, is looking healthy, and is making a new high. Well, it's not really doing anything that we can't see. It's not really doing anything that we can make too much of right here. But the thing is that because the weekly closed like this on CMEs, which was a price point. Hold on, let me get this one exactly right. So this was at 1,500 my time. So where was spot price action at 1,500 yesterday? It was right here. Yeah, so it was right here. It's right around 93.50-ish region. So we can assume that Bitcoin's going to be somewhere around 93.50-ish region for tomorrow's open on CMEs. So we probably close the weekly somewhere around there. Now, what would that suggest for that? Well, we can kind of take that information and apply it to the weekly right now, and we can say that, well, what's going on in Bitcoin's weekly RSI? Something very, very big here. I do see that the 55, 56 marker right here, as we've been speaking about I've had this marked up for ages now, but more importantly, what we can see is that we very much likely do have a change of behavior confirmed on weekly RSI. And, again, it's a little bit delicate because, CMEs don't necessarily always always dictate the moves for spot price action on a closing basis for the weekly, but more often than not it does. 9 times out of 10 it will. And what do we see here? Well, anytime that Bitcoin has been above the blue box at 56 level RSI, that has been your bull markets, and Bitcoin loves to base off of that area for its rallies during these bull markets. Again, back test this one for yourself, as all the spikes down into that level from the upside have been your major massive bullish dumps essentially, and vice versa for the downside. Bitcoin likes to sell off it right over here. I'm sure someone's going to point this out, that Krown, there's a 60 read right here on the RSI and it rejected from it. Well, the thing with that is that, could that still be relevant? Yes, it could be, but I would really be looking for Bitcoin to pop back up and then test it again. And if the test holds, that's how you know that the reversal is real. But here's the thing, is that realistically, all this coming in at a major critical point when Bitcoin is in the midst of testing the prior high on a weekly closing basis and potentially reversing the trend officially by making a higher high on the weekly, I would say that that's more or less good. And all ties in together, where very, 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 very likely we will get that confirmed. Not only that, but you have to check out your weekly Stokes here as well, which are headed north, getting out of the bearish control zone, and very likely will confirm above it because we're above it right now and CMEs have already closed, and so we probably close above it just based off of that. And more importantly, this would also be a change of behavior here. You can see that anytime that we've been below the 40 marker, the 40 region right here, those are your bear markets essentially for Bitcoin. And more importantly, for the people saying that Krown, it's like, I fucking hate this shit. But Krown, what? But Krown, have you looked at the RSI right here? Got rejected from the 60 zone. Well, look at your Stokes coming in at that level as well. It was not necessarily the same. It got rejected much lower. This is that same area that you saw right here. So put these two pieces of price action together, or sorry, pieces of technical analysis together. You can see that the probabilities of this one going up right here are much more. Speaking of probabilities, I kind of want to save it for a little bit later, but we can look in. Well, we've already covered up the lower term time frame, so let's go check it out right now. And what I found is that the 12-hour range is actually a lot better for this. If Bally's listening, I have a theory on why this is, and the reason why the 12-hour I think is more accurate is because usually when I'm doing these videos, it's about 12 hours till the next daily doodle close. So and I'm usually operating off of daily doodle closes. So I do believe that the 12-hour for the time that I record this video is more relevant because it's measuring out 12 hours from this exact time. Whereas the daily is going to be going 24. So it's kind of like in the midst. But more importantly, on the 12-hour right here, it gets these ranges just about perfectly. 92.50 to the downside on the first standard deviation. So less than a 16% chance that we do break to the downside today. And where do you know the first standard deviation is? Holy shit! 95.50, right around that last prior high. So marking off our blue boxes for the more preliminary regions perfectly, essentially, and saying that we have a less than 16% or less than a 32% chance to break out of either one, and less than a 16% chance to break out of one individually, but add them together is 32% chance. So fair enough. The odds are in Bitcoin staying in this range, which means that the odds are on the weekly holding what we were speaking about before, which means that these are very, very likely to confirm above these regions. The probabilities are on the side of that. And with more sideways here, it's actually going to very, very likely go up, I'd imagine. As volatility is going to contract, so this range is actually going to get a little bit smaller. And, well, there you go. So lovely, fucking lovely. Anyways, let's go check out the monthly. I actually haven't looked at the monthly. This is a completely fresh look at all the charts for me today. Monthly, very, very nice. Very fucking nice. Closing above the 10 simple, closing above the last breakdown point at 9100. And do we come back down and test around the 10 simple? Likely, yes. Where is that level in around? 9,000. Where do I think that Bitcoin probably pulls back and tests around the golden cross? Probably 8,900 to 9,000 bucks. So that's where the major moving averages are right now, but they will be rising over time. It all works together essentially. And I am, should I say it? I'm more bullish on the monthly than I am on the weekly. I'm essentially bullish on Bitcoin as long as we're above the daily 200, which is actually even below the 10 simple on the monthly right here on a closing basis. I'm essentially bullish here. I do think that Bitcoin is going to make its way back into the 5 digits. I think that 11,000 probably in the next couple of months is perhaps likely. Although I would like to see the weekly, the weekly print a higher high. That would be beautiful if we could do that this weekend. Although I don't think it happens this weekend. I think it probably happens next weekend if it is going to happen. But this is again my opinion, and I want to divorce my opinion from technical analysis. Technical analysis is more or less neutral. It's leaning bullish here as far as probabilities go. But remember that my opinion is completely worthless. I'm wrong all the fucking time. Anyways, looking at this right now, let's go check out momentum oscillators. Holy shit, baby. Look at that monthly RSI back above the exponential, rejecting the neutral zone. Fucking phenomenally resilient in this region. Really, really like that. And both have a positive slope. Monthly Joule, this is not a signal in any way, shape, or form, but it is in a more bullish posturing as we spoke about. And we do see that monthly Stokes, after rejection the bullish control zone, which is quite common after being away from it quite some time, are likely going to curl back around here, assuming that Bitcoin just doesn't break back down below the 10 simple on the monthly. Bitcoin's above all major moving averages here, more or less. I ain't bearish on something that looks like that. I'm never going to be bearish long term on something that looks like that is above all major moving averages. Bitcoin is above all major moving averages on all time frames that matter. Not only that, I mean, go back to the weekly routing over here. I said I would kind of save more of the long term price analysis for tomorrow, but we can do some more digging in the weeds for that. For right now, I think that it's relevant to say that, remember, CME is already closing for the week, means that we're very, very likely to see it close something like this, which means that these two major moving averages right here, the yellow 21 exponential moving average and the red 10 symbol right here, are very, very likely to close, confirming the first consecutive both open and close above the 21, and also positive slopes on both. Getting both of those tools in together, and even just being above the 21 exponential moving average, has been Bitcoin's bull marks in the past. You do see that when Bitcoin's in an uptrend, loves to base off the 21. When Bitcoin's in a downtrend, loves to sell off on the 21. Sometimes gets above it for a little bit of time, but the slope of the 21, and then in conjunction with the 10 simple, like adding it up just a step more, has essentially saved you all those perfect moves in the past. Anytime that we've seen the 21 exponential moving average with a negative slope, but price actions above, those are sells, and vice versa for when the slope is positive, but price action is kind of coming down and testing it. Well, what do we see right now? It's very, very likely to be confirmed as an upward slope. 10 symbol is going to follow through with it, and if the 10 symbol can cross the upside of the 21 in the coming few weeks, I would look for a move probably back up to our next major resistance on the weekly highs, right around 11.5, and that's the big bad one for Bitcoin. That's the one that I really watch out for. If Bitcoin is going to reverse back down, as a lot of people think, that's where it likely does come from. And with that in mind, let's go back down into the lower time frames here and realize that actually is starting to line up with a few other things that we've been kind of keeping an eye on. Remember this. Remember the falling channel, this big falling channel that Bitcoin's been working on for the past 6 months since June. Where's the measured move off this baby right here? It's actually at 11. It's actually a little bit above that, 11.9. But when we talk about this big a price action here, it's all relevant to each other. I would say that anywhere between 11.5 and 12,000 actually is consistent with the measure move on top of that, and even the more conservative estimate of this, if you're going like by wicks, which I don't believe that wicks are the right thing to do in this situation, to be fair, but using wicks would even suggest some sort of a measure move, maybe to like 10. Where is it? Yes, somewhere in this range right here, which is kind of where I'm looking for if Bitcoin does get the next weekly high confirmed. And look at that, Bitcoin selling back down. Fucking love it. Once again, the range is of peace and prosperity, providing fucking all. And let's see if Bitcoin actually has the momentum to come back down to the 9250-ish region right here. Does it have the momentum to actually break it this time? Maybe, maybe not. But what this is going to allow to do is it's going to allow the momentum oscillators on the lower time frames to cool off a little bit more. But if they don't break it, then it's only going to allow them to reset. And that would be more or less bullish long term. Anyways, I'm sure people are calling this a head and shoulders. It's not. Volume signature is wrong. Shape is wrong. Smell, taste, texture, all wrong. God damn it. Motherfucker. Anyways, let's go check out how did GBTC close the week out? I'm curious. Actually, on a down note, funnily enough, a little bit of a down note right there, but maintaining the 200 simple. I don't really have much to make out of GBTC, to be honest with you. It seems it's the most difficult chart to read between spot, CME, and this, and I wouldn't, if I was following it the last like couple of weeks, I would have probably been bearish over here, and that would have been a massive trap. That would have been catastrophic. But spot and CME were not agreeing with that, which is why I put precedence on them. Anyways, let's see what else we want to look at. Let's go look at gold really quick. Gold heading back up. Oh my God, fucking beautiful, doing exactly what we spoke about. And I feel like I've been a little bit arrogant with the way that I've kind of said a lot of these terms. Please do not take it that way. It's not intended that way. It's just a lazy way of expressing myself sometimes. But yep, looking for it to kind of take out this horizontal right here at 1580. Did that, and I do think that coming into the next week, you're going to see a move back up to this blue box, test around 1610 to 1630-ish region. Overall, very good. All the fucking gold bears. I'm not even a fan of gold. I think gold's fucking garbage. I think gold's a fucking joke. It's just a silly rock that, I don't know, people want to give to like some sort of like alien like probably what people want to do with gold is they want to give it to like some sort of fucking alien overload who's telling them that it's the key to making pyramids or some shit. I don't believe that, but I do believe that gold is going up here. I do believe that gold is bullish, and we typically do see gold and Bitcoin actually trade together. Although That's not as true mathematically as we've shown before with looking at correlation coefficients and R squared. But on the macro, they do play okay, but Bitcoin actually plays better with traditional markets, of which have been bullish for quite some time, and we'll be looking at that in a second. And I think that we actually hit our levels to the downside there as well. But overall, yeah, daily Stokes still headed up here. Probably weekly's looking fine as well. Yes, indeed it is. Weekly RSI, very, very healthy, very, very nice. And I do think that this one has more to go. And probably closing in extremely strongly monthly as well. Indeed it is. Very fucking nice. Anyways, that reminds me, I forgot to look at the accumulation distribution indicator on Bitcoin. Looking at SPY right on over here, monthly did end kind of as a reversal-ish dildo right here. I do think that the month of February is probably going to be a down month. The coming into Friday was a very difficult call. We hit our target to the downside at 324, 323 and a half region. Then the bounce was quite significant. However, the bounce is still just a downtrend. So technically speaking, still should be bearish. Then we hit our second target to the downside at 320. And I'd expect another bounce back up to kind of open up this coming week. And then the game's on once again. I do think that 320 does provide quite a nice bounce, probably back up to like 325-ish region. And then we'll come back and reassess after that. If the bounce puts in another lower high right there, I'd get ready sometime later in the month of February to come down to like 315 region, and that's where I think a legitimate bottom can likely be found. But curious about how the dailies look. Yeah, the dailies in meltdown. I do think that ultimately this one will come lower, but it very, very likely bounces to open up the week, coming in Monday, maybe Tuesday, something like that. And then I look for continuation down to 315 later this month, later in the month of February. We are starting to get a little bit hotter on historical volatility percentile, but I'd like to see it get more hot. I want to see it really start to tick up here. That's probably where you're going to find your next major low, similar to what you saw right around here before that consolidation breaking out to the upside. That reminds me, we didn't even look at the lower time frame historical volatility percentiles on Bitcoin. Let's see how they're doing right now. I'm going to imagine that the hourly is contracting. It is very, very nice. But what is it lining up with? It's probably lining up with a move actually by end of week. And if I had to guess, I've done this so many fucking times now. I can almost tell you where it's going to be. Yeah, probably around late tomorrow, meaning late Sunday. So when CME is likely open, we probably do get a nice move between that and New York Stock Exchange open on Monday. Very, very likely we get a move here as this kind of contracting very lovingly. 2 hours probably going to be doing the same thing. Indeed it is. 3 hours probably going to be doing the same thing. Indeed it is. 4 hour contraction as well. So yes, probably going to be a quiet weekend. And then around the time that CME is open on Sunday to New York Stock Exchange opening on Monday is when I'd be looking for the next potential move to break either this blue box to the downside right here, which would initiate a move probably towards like 8,900, maybe 9,000-ish region, or this blue box up here, just even ticking above 95.79 is good enough for me, and I'd look for a move to 98.50 extremely likely, and probably extension over time to like 10.1, 10.3 really. So yeah. Okay, I think it's time to go back. I do want to check out the monthly accumulation distribution indicator just to see what we doing here. Okay, cool. All right, let's see. I'm gonna guess it switched around to a positive slope most likely. If I had to guess. Whoa. No. No. This is unexpected. This is very unexpected. Wow. Okay. Okay. I don't know what to make of this. This is actually a little bit, this is so obtuse to the rest of what I'm looking at. We'll have to keep an eye on this, but this does suggest that it ain't all sunshine and rainbows for Bitcoin just yet. Be careful. I do still think that we have upside here. I do still think that we test into the 5 digits again this month, but it would say hold your horses on just a little bit longer. We could still see some like we saw back on over here. Back on over here in 2016 for Bitcoin, where you see a negative slope being put in for 2 consecutive months. Now, Bitcoin did slide during that time, to be fair. We're not really seeing a slide right here, which is very strange. So yeah, something that I'll definitely write down and monitor as the month goes on, but very unexpected actually. In this case, I do put a lot of weight on that. I do put a lot of weight on that, but I put more weight on RSI and Stokes in this case, just because I know, well, I can read them better. Essentially, is what it comes down to. Anyways, let's see. Let's go check out some forexes, see how they closed out the monthly. Oh, what do you fucking know? Dollar yen coming back down to 108.5. I do think that it's going to try another bounce here, though. Well, is it going to try another bounce here? It actually did break this trend line and break the 200 simple. No, I think I'm going to be wrong. Bounce faded. I'm wrong about the bounce right here. The bounce only got up to 109, a little bit above 109. I was looking for 109.5. Didn't quite get there, and looking like it's breaking down again. Does not look good. Doesn't look good. Man, that's a fucking difficult one. That is a very difficult one. Yeah, weekly does not look good either. Let's go check out pound yen. On the contrary, actually closing okay. Fuck this trading range. Jesus Christ. I do think that's going to trade up here a little bit. But the trading range very, very accurately, or sorry, the trading range very obviously right around 144.4 to the upside, 141.2 to the downside. Very difficult chart to read right there. I don't know what's going on. I don't have a strong opinion there. I would refrain from saying anything else. Oh my God, holy shit, this is beautiful right here. So we called the move to the downside 110, hit the target right there, bounced back up, and this one's actually going to exceed my target to the upside, and I would expect the bounce to continue coming into next week, probably back up to 111.25. Looks good. Looks good for another leg of continuation there, and we'll come back. Let's go check out Mr. Beaterall, Mrs. Likecoin, see how they're doing. Mr. Beaterall hitting our blue box target right here, and I don't even know what the fuck that. Oh, it's coming back from this area right on over here. And still respecting it. So same sort of thing as Bitcoin. Whatever Bitcoin does, Beaterall's likely to do as well. I would say that the big support level to the downside that it really wants to hold is this guy right here, right around 178.25. Don't want to see that one break. Otherwise, we probably see Bitcoin break like 92.50 if that happens simultaneously. Litecoin, same sort of areas, 72.5 to the upside, and 66 even to the downside. Litecoin, though, again, I think is very, very powerful here. Powerful Litecoin, powerful Mrs. Litecoin. I love this independent, beautiful bitch, but she did make a higher high confirmed. Took out the last weekly wick high at 66.75. I'm overall bullish on this one, and I do think that it has more to go over this coming month. Yes, there will be pullbacks. Yes, probably does pull back to like 66.5, $67, but I do think that things get picked up there, and very likely marches back up to $80, maybe even more than that. We'll kind of take it one step at a time. Of course, for Bitcoin's weekly high, I do think that the CME chart is a better read on this one. Again, if we can just tick above this prior high from late October at 10,050, that would likely initiate the same sort of move as what we're seeing on Litecoin, and I'd look for a move to like 10.5 on CMEs, which probably puts spot somewhere around that 10.3 region that we were speaking about earlier. The problem with looking at spot for this one is the last weekly high from a wick basis is 10.350, right? So I'd rather wait for a close above 9.5. That officially creates a higher high. And you could even look at this, as we spoke about yesterday, you could look at this as an inverted head and shoulders here. It does work as one, and very rarely will I call these things out, because very rarely do we actually get them, but it is present here. I've already done it, and look where the measure move comes in around. Holy shit, baby! I think that's right around the 11.5 target-ish region, right in the midst of this guy right here, which is between 11 and 11.8 actually. So somewhere in that region likely does, could be signaled here. I think it's a little bit of I really don't like kind of predicting is the wrong fucking word. Anytime you hear someone say prediction when it comes to trading, go fuck yourself. That's a bunch of bullshit. That's a fucking. I've never heard a trader speak like that ever. Like a real trader speak like that. I've heard analysts who have absolutely zero skin in the game speak like that. Predictions are worth nothing. The only thing that matters is putting money on a fucking trade. Jesus Christ. But yeah, I would say that this would imply a move somewhere right around here, also consistent with the rest of the analysis. So I do kind of like that area. Anyways, going back down to the lower timeframes for Bitcoin and wrapping this bitch up, kind of the same thing as what we're speaking about for the last day or two. Bitcoin just playing in a range on the lower timeframes. I'm overall bullish as long as we are going sideways and not breaking 92.50 on at the very least a 4-hour delta closing basis. To the upside, a little bit more tricky. If we do close above 94.75, I would look for a test of the prior high, but if it can even just tick above this prior high at 95.79 on Mexico, I would look for continuation to at the very least 98.50 and probably more, probably 5 digits, you know, maybe a little bit later. By the same token, to the downside below 92.50, I would look for a move down somewhere around between 9,000 and 8,900. That's the monthly 10 simple or the daily 200 simple moving average. Somewhere around there looks like a very, very good area for a potentially higher low. Of course, it could also break as well, and if it does, I would target a move much further down to like 8,500, and this is going to take on a whole new meaning. I don't think that happens here, but it is important to discuss because there's no prediction to be made. It's just going level by level and then following the trend. That's all it is. That's all it is, man. And I think it's very unlikely that we break, you know, the top side of the range, this blue box or this blue box or this blue box right here to the upside or the downside this weekend. Very, very likely we do it early next week, and you know, in line with volatility projections. Also seeing the volume kind of curl off here as well. So still kind of maturing in this formation, and still probably has like another few days to bake. Until then, as I said, you know, as long as we don't break 92.50, I have a bullish bias, but I don't really expect anything to break here. There's no rush to get in a position. Do you think that we're probably going to come back down and test this area again? We're probably going to test this area again, you know, later this weekend. So I think that both areas are going to get nailed, but below here is where things really start to change. That's kind of the takeaway message, I suppose, if I could say something like that. So with all of that in mind, I do want to wish you well. I want to wish you the best, and always the happiest, because why fucking not, man? The world needs a little bit more smiles, I suppose. And it's also free to do, man. Why not? It's better than wishing people like a shitty life, I guess. It's like, I wonder. you have to be a fucking asshole to say something like that, I suppose. But maybe people have their reasons. Who knows? Who fucking knows, man? Who knows? But yeah, as far as the low time frame analysis, pretty much the same. I won't be on Twitch later. Elsa will. And with that said, take care, and until next time.